Test, 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 test. Yo, that's crazy. My OBS crashed, my PC crashed as soon as I turned the stream on. But then we're good, everything started, so we're good. Test this out one more time. Test, test, test. Alright, we're good. What's going on, team? Welcome to tonight's isolation session for May 29th, 2025. Gonna give everybody a couple minutes here to join. Yeah, man, yesterday the day just went by super quick and the day got very late for me. So I didn't even get on the charts this morning. I'm back on my charts from yesterday, so today's session is gonna be pretty. I'll take my time with it since we gotta update some pairs. You know, the pairs that we gotta update, we'll update them. The ones that don't really look that good, then we'll skip them. Just gonna give everybody till 7:03. We'll give everybody 2 more minutes to join. Daily time frame, we know we don't really gotta update anything. It'll be the 30-minute time frame that we'll go on to. So we'll speak about the daily time frame and then we'll go straight to the 30 and we'll update these past 2 days. And then we'll go on from there. Any questions in the meantime, let me know. Anything you guys want me to go over, let me know. Any entries you guys took that you guys want me to go over, let me know. If not, then we'll just do the pairs that we usually do, which are the ones that you see on the right hand side with the red folder or red flag next to their name. Alright, so let's get started. So AU, we know we are in level 3, right? AUDUSD, we are in level 3 looking for that third push to the bottom. Still trading within the previous lower low. So we are looking for price to give us a set lower high to then start looking for these shorts. Right now we're still uptrending on the 4 hour, still making higher high, higher low. 30-minute, we're still trading between the previous higher high, higher low. And we had 2 days of drop on the 3rd day, which was today. Price gave us a drop rise. And very similar to the other pairs that we've had these last couple days, guys, right? On the 3rd day drop, there's 2 things you want to see here, right? Yeah, we had a 4th day or a 3rd day variation where it gave us a drop rise. Could we expect today, right? The next trading day, the 4th day, right? Could we expect it to give us another push to the bottom, right? The 2 things I want you to take a look at is the fact that price gave us such a steep pullback. That's one of the reasons why we already kind of know, okay, price might not go that low anymore. The second reason, right, we give 3 reasons. The second reason is 800 EMA. Price right now is respecting the 800 EMA. Look at how many exhaustion candles price has printed down at these lows, right? So when we're looking at structure, which is the 3rd thing, where are we trading? Higher high, higher low, higher high. Could this be the higher low? Yes. Internally, price started giving you lower low, lower high, lower low, change of character, higher high, higher low, higher high. Right? Price failed to give us a low. We're still trading between this high and this low. Internal time frame, what do we also see? Shoulder has shoulder, shoulder, head, shoulder. So price is already giving us, hey, step number one, where does price need a break? In order for price to continue to go into these lows, we need to see price break these lows over here. Right. These lows need to be broken. If price doesn't break these lows, right, it starts giving you exhaustion candles, and it starts giving you higher highs, higher lows, this is where we'd want to start seeing price continue that push to the top side. If not, price is going to break and then we'll continue back down to the bottom. So we'll just have to wait for these areas, for price to reach these areas to then start looking for those trades. So AU is looking decent. Again, I'm still expecting price to give us a steeper pullback. Still expecting price to go higher, to give us a steeper lower high, to fill this gap that we have at the top of the market, and then continue that downtrend push that we're waiting for price to reach. So AU just got to be patient. AUDCAD, we're still in A1, we're still in the first zone of consolidation, still looking for price to give us that push back down to the bottom, but still looking for price to give us the breaks, right? The breaks that we were looking for on the 4 hour were again the valid BOS under the shoulder head shoulder, which we still haven't gotten. Price is still testing these lows. Then on the 30-minute, let's just look at 30-minute structure. Price gave us lower low. Right, we're trading between this lower low and this lower high over here. We still have that 1 hour engulfing candle here at these highs. Price gave us 2 days of drop. Today being the third day, price just consolidated. That's all price did today. Just moved sideways and gave us a day of no net. So no trend on this one just yet. Would love for price for AUDCAD to continue going short, but we're still stuck in the zone of consolidation, right? We have 3 weeks where price just been moving sideways. Gave us a shoulder head shoulder. In order for us to start looking for these entries going short, we need to see the breaks. Right now we're trading at a lower low. Right? There's only two things that are going to happen here. Either we're going to get a rejection of the lows and then price is going to go back up. Same thing that happened here. Or price is going to give us the break of the lows, and then we'll start looking for those trades. There's only two things that could happen. So just got to be patient. Right, it's good to see that these pairs are actually doing what they're supposed to. Whoa, this is crazy. Euro AUD. Euro AUD, we are in level 3 in an uptrend. We already had 3 months of rise for this. We already had 3 months of rise on the continuation. So I'm not really expecting price to continue to push to the top side for this month. Still close though. We're right on the no net area. So we still got what, 2 days? Pretty much till Monday. So we'll see what this does. I'm pretty sure it'll end on a little no net. See how price looks in this area. Nothing really here on the 4 hour. Right, the 30-minute was the one that we were looking at. Right, so this was the trade that we took on Wednesday that I was saying I closed out early before the news, or even before the NYC open. Right, because how many times price was just rejecting lows, or I'm sorry, rejecting highs and going back short. I was like, God, I'm just gonna cash out and profit. You know, 30 pips was 30 pips, and yeah, an hour after I cashed out, price went boom, straight back up did the 372, right? So what's good, Albert? What's the stream, my brother? Mr. Bashir, welcome. Welcome. Right, so price ended up going straight into profit, right into 372. Right, if you cashed out of the 372, congratulations. If you thought price was just going to continue the push to the top side, understanding that we have news, then your stop loss was hit if you weren't if you didn't secure your profits, right? So on Thursday, price gave you a rise no net, and then today, were we expecting price to give us another push to the top side, we would have said the same thing, which is this pullback is very steep, right? But we know that at one point we're trading lower low, lower high, lower low. Price gave us a little change of character here, right? Gave us a change of character, and now we're looking for that break. But for the sake of structure, I'm not even going to say that that's the change of character and this is higher high, higher low, higher high. All of this is going to be part of the same area. Right, so I'll be looking for price to break those highs instead. But that's okay. Right. So for today, we have another day of rise. Really nothing to update here. I'm just gonna move this here to this high. Again, guys, any questions, just let me know. Any pairs in specific that you guys want me to look at, let me know. EURCAD, we are in level 2, sitting at a higher high. We were in the first zone of consolidation, A1. Price gave us the break of structure. After it gave us the break again, price just continued the push. Never gave us a pullback. We're still sitting at a higher high. Still a pair that has a gap at the bottom of the market. So I am expecting price to give us a pullback. And once again, as we say every stream, guys, remember, there's two different type of moves the market makers could give you. A trend and a zone of consolidation. Right now, the market makers are giving you a zone of consolidation. Instead of going into a higher high and then giving you a trend, a downtrend to make a higher low, it's giving you the higher high and then just moving sideways. Right, so zones of consolidations are easy. The breakout trades are really the easiest things to trade. All we have to wait for is that breakout. Once we get a breakout of the zone of consolidation, then we know we can start looking for these trades. So EURCAD is really just be patient, wait for the trend to really start happening, and that's pretty much it. Price gave us lower low, lower high, lower low, and then that push today to the top side gave us a change of character. So price gave you lower low, boom, then it gave you this lower high over here. Right. This lower low over here. Then gave us the push to the top side for the change of character higher high. Right, and then price gave us a day of drop on Thursday. I'm sorry, on Wednesday, and then Thursday today price gave us a day of rise. So before I could start looking for a trade here on EURCAD, I need to see that break of structure. Without a valid break, can't take a trade. And again, the fact that we're trading at the highs of the zone of consolidation is also not the best place to look for a trade, but again, we'll keep an eye on it and we'll see what price does. Euro USD. We were in V1. V1 is the first zone of consolidation. We're looking for that break of the top of consolidation, and we got it. After we got the break, we're looking for the retest, higher high going into a higher low. We also had price give us the 3 months of rise. So again, this month, I'm not really expecting price to continue a push to the top side. Can it continue that push to the top side? Absolutely. And again, the reason why is because we did have gaps in the market that reset the trend. So going down into the lower time frames, what do we see? Price still giving us higher highs and higher lows. 30-minute time frame. At one point, we had higher high, higher low, higher high. Once we made another higher high, that pushed today when the market opened last night, it gave us a little change of character, lower low. Didn't give us a valid break. That was just an inducement. Right? Wow, the market moved a lot today. Right? Once price gave you the inducement of the low, lower time frame, you should start seeing higher highs and higher lows. Let's take a look. Right? Lower low, lower high, lower low, higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high. Lows, just little zone of consolidation. Right? This was a higher low here. Right? And then boom, started trending to the top side. Pretty good moves. So we're trading now between that low, or this low and this high. We had 2 days of counter drop, because again the overall trend is uptrend. Then we have a day of rise. Still have a gap at the bottom, so I'm going to take it easy on EU. For GA, we are in level 3 in an uptrend. We had 3 months of rise. On the third month, gave us a rise no net. Could we expect, again, as we were talking about this entire past 2 weeks, could we expect price to give us another push to the top side? We can, but I'm not really expecting it at this point. We're already missing just 2 days for this month to end. Not really expecting price to give us another 487 pips to the top side, right, on a pair that moves 120 pips a day. I don't see this pair moving 200 pips today, 200 pips tomorrow, and then, at that point on Monday or Sunday going into Monday, another 200 pips. I just don't see that happening. The fact that price also, I'm putting this into the reason why I'm saying that too is just based on what happened with the 372. The fact that price never followed the continuation trend that we were looking for in comparison to how EA did is another reason why I'm not expecting price to continue that push to the top side. The same reason, I took this trade, same thing as EA, just a 372. As soon as I started seeing that price starts rejecting these highs once again during the end of London going into NYC, that's when I closed the trade, and then price went back down again. And then at that point came back up, missed the take profit area again because our TP would have been a 372, and then went back down into the stop loss. So at this point, again, securing 23 pips, not what we wanted really the whole thing, but it's all good. Can't be greedy in these markets. And again, that's the reason why I'm not really too anxious to trade these market conditions right now. We talked about that on Tuesday. So how do you identify a valid break versus inducement right beforehand? It's easy, right? What's a valid break? A valid break is you have the candle, right? You have the break of structure line. Let's say this is the break line, right? This candle is the inducement. Why? Because it's still touching the line. Let's say you want to see the downtrend break, right? You want to see a break below the low like we did here. This first red candle here is the inducement. What do you want to see for a valid break is another candle close below without touching the break of structure line. So at this point, you wanted to see a candle break below this here. Did any of these candles break below? No, all of them were closing above. All of these candles are still inducement candles. So what do you want to see in this area now is in the lower time frames. Right, once you identify like, okay, this is the inducement area, you want to go down to the lower time frames and start looking for the change of character break of structures. Right, so then this is where you have lower low in the 1 minute, right? You have lower low, lower high, lower low, change of character, higher high, higher low. looking for a valid break. Did you get a valid break? Yes, here, right? So you know that this is higher high, right? So now you're looking for the retest. You got the retest in this area over here. You take those entries, right? So now you know, boom, you have these entries. Did price ever break these lows? No. Price just continued to make higher high, higher low. Again, you're trading between this high, right? Let's delete the drawing so you can have a better visual of what I'm talking about, right? When did you get the break? You didn't get the break here because these are all testing candles. They were all touching the line. You didn't get the break until these candles up here. So we're trading between higher high, higher low, higher high, right? Price never broke until here, so we know that we're trading higher low, right? And your initial entry was down here. So that's when you identify. Once you identify the inducement, this is how you identify now the entry. Once you see that you have the inducement candle, you go down to lower time frame. You start looking for the change of character, the break of structure. That's when you start going in for price to do exactly what it did here. Let me know if that made sense. Again, an inducement, the fact that this is an inducement, why? Because again, you only had one candle, which was this long red candle closed below. No other candle closed below the wick. All of these candles were still part of the inducement phase. If there would have been another candle, like I said, if there would have been another candle, if any of these other candles would have closed below here, right, and it wouldn't have been touching the change of character line, then this would have been a break, and we know that we would have been looking for, again, this is the break of structure, we would have been looking for a retest to then continue to go short. But again, the fact that price never gave us that break and instead started giving you that change of character, that break of structure, that's how you know, okay, you have the inducement, and now you know you're looking for price to go to the opposite side. Thanks, no problem, my brother. So EURUSD would have been good. Again, the only thing that sucks with these trades is what we've been talking about this entire time. You know, entries at 2 in the morning. By the time we wake up, STP ADR is already hit. The move's already done by the time we wake up for the NYC session. So, you know, can't really do anything about that. It is what it is. That's part of trading sometimes. You just gotta be patient. So we did GA already, right? We talked about GA. Because we compared that to the EA one. So right now for GA, I have nothing really to say about GA right now. Again, would love to see a continuation. I mean, at this point, you know, internal time frame, what we've been saying is really going to be our best friend here. This is where we have lower low, lower high, lower low. Price gave us the change of character here, right? And now we're looking for the break. So if price gives us a break above these highs, then we already know straight back to the top side. So that's what we'll be waiting for on GA. GCAD, we are level 3 in an uptrend. No continuations in the daily time frame. We just have a month of drop. But do you recommend taking trades during London? Again, I personally, if I were to take a trade, it would be during London and New York session. I wouldn't trade Asia session. And again, these market conditions right now, the fact that we're moving during London session, and we've just been moving during London session for the past month and a half, then yeah, like if you could trade that session, I would definitely say, do your due diligence and trade that session. But just be aware that you don't want to get trapped, right? And if the moves aren't made during Asia or London, then you know it's going to be made during the NYC session. So that's the only thing. Once the market conditions go back to, quote unquote normal, whatever normal is, then we'd have to say, we'd have to go back to the trading the usual NYC session. So we just have to keep an eye on that. I sometimes say I've got the best time zone for trading, but current work and circumstances giving me a B. Amen. It's all good. Sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do sometimes, Albert. You know what I mean? Sometimes you gotta take even a few weeks, maybe a month or two to kind of balance everything out again. Sometimes juggling a whole bunch of things at once, you're gonna get tired. You know what I mean? So it's all a balance at the end of the day. GCAD, right? This zone with the 4th week high, we already had that, and we're stuck in this little zone of consolidation. Right? Price just moving sideways. We had a little continuation. What seemed like price wanted to give us a continuation. Gave us a rise drop. And as we always talk about the fact that price wasn't really trending here, price gave us higher high, higher low, higher high, lower low. We already talked about the fact that this could have been the lower low going into a lower high to continue into a lower low, and that's exactly what price did. Gave us a lower high, started going back down, but we're stuck in a zone of consolidation. So this is a no-go for us. Gonna wait for price to break out of this range. Once we break out of the range, then we'll start trading again. And GCAD looks good. We have no gaps in the market. We really just have to wait for that green button. And that green button will be the breakouts. So we'll wait this one out. Just gotta be patient. GJ, I'm not really trading GJ, so I'm just gonna skip through this again. We're just stuck in this range. I'm not gonna be trading this BS. There's no way. Right, we can already see prices just rejecting highs again. It looks like price wants to go back down, so GJ always looks so good, like, we're just gonna continue, but nope. Gave us 3 days of rise on the 3rd day. Gave us a rise no net. Right, also, this would have faked out a lot of us too. I'm not gonna front here. Why? Because we're like, we're stuck in the zone of consolidation from the bottom going back to the top side, right? We would have had an eye on this, so probably not really, right? But looking at just internal, if we weren't looking at external structure too, in the internal just in the 30-minute, we would have been faked out. But that's the reason why we look at higher time frame as well. So, but if you're trading just internal time frame, I will say this: the reason why looking at the external time frame, right, the higher time frames is important, is because if you were just trading this in the 30-minute time frame, you would have thought that this would have just been higher high, higher low, higher high, gave us a valid break. How many people you think were just stuck in these trades here, especially here, right? So tough day, right? It gave you the move, right? The move that you're looking for, it gave it to you. It just gave it to you in Asia session. So there's 2 ways you got to go at this, right? If you're a trader, you're trading when price already gave you STP for the day, you already know you're You're in the bad. You're in bad water. You're drowning yourself at that point. It's crazy how these pairs are moving though. They're moving a lot. Right, so at this point, again, I'm not really trading GJ, so I'm just gonna skip on with that. GU, 3 months of rise, already at a higher high, continuing to push to the top side. This is another one that I had to wait for a pullback before I start trading it again. But it is one that's looking good. Still making 30-minute internal higher high, higher lows, higher highs. Gave us 2 days of counter drop. On the third day today, gave us a push to the bottom and then ended up on a day of rise. Internal time frame on this one too. We have lower low, lower high, lower low. Price gave us a higher high, change of character. And we'll be pretty much looking for price to break these highs here. But again, trading GU when we're trading at a higher high already in the external time frame, like we're already trading at a higher high. We already have 3 months of rise. You know, I am expecting price to give us a pullback, so in a tough area here for GU. I definitely want to see a little bit more confirmations before going back up to the top side. But again, I'm not confident in these buys in these areas for GU for now. NZD USD, I still haven't updated it. This is still one that we're expecting price to give us a valid break. We still have a gap at the top of the market, a gap at the top. Still in a zone of consolidation, so just waiting this one out. We're in an overall downtrend, but gotta wait for a pullback. Gotta wait for price to fill those gaps, and then we'll continue to look for those shorts. US30, not gonna do it on stream. Neither I'm not gonna do gold, Bitcoin, or US oil on stream either. So we'll just finish off here with USDCAD and ZAR. USDCAD is also stuck in a small zone of consolidation. Still trending down in the previous lower low, lower high, lower low. In this lower high, price is just moving sideways. Gave us an inducement of the 800, right? And then the lows that we were looking for price to break were these lows. It does look like price gave us a valid break, right? So we had a day of rise and then a day of drop. Let's see. Gave us a 30-minute engulfing candle. Price never gave us a valid retest of it though. No other engulfing candle. Oh, we had a 1-hour engulfing candle right here. So, I don't know. Let's see. This could be one where we won't see another pullback on this. This will probably just continue those pushes to the bottom. So an entry becomes invalid when price breaks below BOS line going to the top side. An entry becomes invalid when price breaks below the BOS going to the top side. What do you mean? If are you saying like for example? Nah, I think I know what you're saying. So you're saying for your entries going long, right? You're saying if price would have given us a valid break of structure, the entry would have been invalid? If that's what you're saying, then yes. If price would have given us a valid break of these lows, then these entries to the top side would have been invalid. Because this would have meant that price was giving us lower low, lower high, lower low, right? Once price gives you this lower low, price is just giving you a lower high to then continue into a lower low. But the fact that price didn't give you a lower low, because price never gave you a valid break, that's the reason why you're looking for price to continue to push to the top side. So yes, the entry would have been, the entry becomes invalid if price breaks below the BOS line going to the top side. Change of character, BOS, and then the retest, exactly. And then ZAR, you guys already know, this is another pair that's in an uptrend. But it does have a gap at the bottom of the market. That price has to go reach and fill. So that's what we're just looking for at this moment for USD ZAR. This is another pair that I'm currently not trading. Just keeping an eye on it. But any other questions, guys? Any other pairs you guys want me to go over? Let me know. Anything else you guys want to talk about? If not, then we'll see you guys tomorrow morning. I feel USD ZAR would be one difficult pair. Yeah, I mean, when we're looking at it, not really, right? Because USD ZAR, again, it's just about pinpointing where your points of interest will be, right? So USD ZAR, we know that we're trading between this higher high here and this higher low, right? So we know that we're trading between here, right, and here on USD ZAR, right? So we also know that we have this gap at the bottom. So our points of interest, like we know price could either come here, right, to then continue the push to the top side, or price is going to come down to these lows to then continue the push back to the top side. So we are really only have 2 points of interest. Like it's really not that difficult, right? Once price reaches these lows, this is where I'll start looking for price to give us a higher highs and higher lows, the same way we did here, right? Once price reached these lows again, which were the previous lows, right, which were these lows down here, what did we wait for? Higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low. Going into a higher high, higher low, right? Back into the higher high. Where? Back to the previous highs in the zone of consolidation. So it's just rinse and repeat. Like the same thing that we were looking for here, right? Same thing we were looking for here is the same thing that we're looking for here. It's just when is it going to give us that entry? Is it going to give it to us in the same area that they gave it to us back in November of 2024, which was again here? Or is price going to go lower and give us an entry where they gave us an entry before back in January of 2023? So again, it's not really difficult. Again, it's more difficult the fact that we have to wait for this shit to set up and then move where it has to go. Like that's the difficult part. But seeing where price has to go, I feel like once you understand all of this, like understanding why I'm looking at these zones, like again, understanding and knowing that market structure is trading higher high, higher low, higher high, you already know where, well, okay, where does price have to go to next, right? We know that it could go downwards up to the bottom of the previous low. We know that it could just give us a 50% retracement, but we already seen that that's not the case. Price doesn't want to do that. So you already know it could go down to 88.6. You know it could give you a 100% retracement. But it's looking for the reasons as to why. And again, we know that we have a gap here. So we know that price has to fill this gap before we could continue that push to the top side. So again, it's not really difficult. It's just, you know, in a moment where if you don't know your rules 100%, it is going to get a little bit difficult. But you know, again, this is why we keep this simple. Like, this is why I don't trade going counter. I don't trade going both ways. Why? Because as soon as price gives me what I need to see, I already know, boom, at these lows, we know we're catching those trades. We don't have to get trapped into, oh, we're gonna go up because look, lower low, higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low. We're gonna continue, right? I don't have to get trapped into that because I know that overall this isn't even real. This is all just the market makers making lower low, lower high, lower low, going into a lower high, right? So any other questions? Let me know. Still got that gap, man. And US30 is another one that's in that situation too. Like, why is this an inducement right now? Right? You have lower low, lower high, lower low, higher high, higher low, higher high, boom. Right? You're looking for price to break these lows. Now on the 5 minute time frame, 1 minute time frame, because price is moving so quick, right? But 5 minute you could get away with this in the on US30. Right? You could still see lower low, lower high, lower low, boom. Price gave you a change of character, higher high. So we already know internal time frame. What are we looking for? Price need to break these highs. That's it. Right? Did the 1 minute give you another? Let's see. Nah, I'm not gonna. Nah, exactly. You had lower low, lower high, boom, lower low. You had the change of character, right? Higher high. You're looking for price. So exactly, the 1 minute and the 5 minute are identical. All right. So that's it. This is how you just kind of see. You gauge where price is gonna go. Well, another reason why this is a very valid inducement, the 800 EMA. We know price respects the 800. So in order for us to even look for shorts, we need to see price not only break these lows but break below the 800 EMA. So we kind of already have a understanding like, maybe this isn't going to continue to push to the bottom side. And that's what you want to see. We want to see price on US30 go up. And then that's crazy with gold here, man. This structure is crazy. No other questions in the chat, guys? They'll give you guys another minute. No other questions. That's pretty much it. There's really nothing else here on the chart for me to talk about. Like I said, Bitcoin, I'll update this during the weekly market breakdown this weekend on Sunday. I don't really have anything on Bitcoin. And US oil, You know, again, we're in a nice area to continue to look for these entries going short. Would love to see price give us a pullback though. If price could give us a steeper pullback, just another lower high instead of this zone of consolidation that we have here, then that would be ideal, right? We'll love to see a pullback, but if price doesn't give us a pullback, then we'll just have to wait for those internal change of character, break of structures to happen. We still haven't gotten a clean break just yet. Price has still been testing these lows, so it's been pretty tough. Again, the market makers are not making this easy for us. They're definitely they're watching us, but um, this turf war has to hand. Yeah, bro. It has to fucking. They gotta get this shit together. But good night, my brother. Have a good rest of your night. A lot of engulfing candles too with no retests. Like that would have been great. But again, STP's already hit by the time we would have been awake. That's at 4 in the morning. 124 pips were already hit. It's kind of crazy how much these pairs are moving. But alright, guys. See you guys tomorrow morning. Peace out.